Welcome to Chords and Curves. I'm your host, Blues Sirens. On today's episode, I welcome Alessandra, also known as MPC Chop online. Alessandra is a bass player and session vocalist who recently picked up the MPC and started to learn how to flip samples. She's documented her journey with MPC on social media, where it has been well received. Listen in as we talk about what it's like to pick up the MPC for the first time and her approach to flipping samples. Hey Alessandra, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm glad I finally got a chance to talk to you. I feel like, it was a minute playing phone tag and stuff, but
Yeah.
how I found you was, it's also been kind of like a little bit of a moment too with like the MPC the last month or so as well,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I feel like maybe 3 months ago I just saw that like something on social media of like you're doing an MPC, but like
Yeah.
you're a musician before that, so like what's
hmm
been your history of how did you become a musician and how did you land into like doing the MPC now?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I guess you found me early because I only started 3.5 months ago.
Yeah, it
So
was
you
like
definitely you
right.
saw me like early on. Yeah. So that's really cool. And yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad we're talking. I mean, I've pretty much been a musician my entire life. Both of my parents are musicians, so I grew up in a house filled with instruments, filled with vinyl, filled with gear, and just I feel like music was just I was completely surrounded by it. So I'm pretty sure it was if I wasn't going to become a musician full time, it was definitely going to be somewhere in my life, you know what I mean? So, just growing up in that environment. My mom was a string teacher for almost 40 years. My dad plays guitar and sings, so between like my entire family, we have like a full family band, and a lot of the weekends were spent like putting on a vinyl or putting on a CD and just grabbing an instrument and playing along. So that's kind of how my musical upbringing started. I mean, it pretty much just started as a child. I started taking violin lessons at 4, piano lessons at 5, and then in junior high, I think I joined or I guess elementary school, I joined the choir. Junior high, I joined the orchestra. And then I switched to the bass, upright bass. Yeah. And then I went to school at the University of Miami, Frost School of Music, in their jazz program. They had a studio music and jazz program, jazz performance program, which was awesome. And then, yeah, just kind of the whole MPC thing started, I think, kind of by accidentally. we My husband like brings home a 62 and was like, "Do you want to learn this?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what that is, and it looks really overwhelming." And I'm much more of a playing an actual. I mean, it can be used as an instrument, and it is. But I think for me, it was like playing the bass or piano or singing. Those to me felt a lot more intuitive. I took one look at that and I was like, I don't even know if I'll figure out how to use this. It looks really complicated, but long story short, he took a couple lessons. I sat next to him with a pen and paper, and I was taking notes and kind of absorbing what I could, but I wasn't really like actually using it. And then just over like Christmas break, I heard this song, and I was like, oh, I feel like I want to make like a remix of it. I want to like chop it and flip it on the MPC. And I just sat down and I just threw myself into the fire and made my first sort of like flip, and then posted it on a brand new social media page that I thought no one would see.
Oh, how the internet works.
Yeah. Because it was, to me, it was sort of like almost like a diary. Like, let me just, have a place where I can post my progress of like learning this
Yeah.
new thing and getting better. Because, that was like the first thing I posted was my first one. So, it was really meant to just be like, let me just put it here and I could see my progress over time. And then, not thinking anyone was going to really see it. But, like you said, it's how the internet works, right?
Yeah, and then like I can't remember like how many posts you had like when I found your page, but I feel like it was like maybe early mid January or February.
Yeah, so I had probably only done like 3, maybe
Yeah.
4. Yeah, so
Which is why I was like, I want to talk to you before you get famous.
it's so funny because I think people don't realize, like, because I put it in my bio of my page, which I don't know how many people go and read it, but I say something like voice actor in my real life, you know? So I think people don't even realize like I have a whole other life and career that I'm doing, which is cool because then this kind of happened and now I'm like, wow, I'm like back to music in a big way, which is really cool.
Yeah. And like it is a daunting instrument. Like even if you have used like a drum pad just to play drums,
Hmm.
there's so many like sub menus and like what does that
Yeah.
do kind of thing. And
Hmm.
like I have a KO and there's so
Oh,
many
I've seen
things.
those before. Yeah.
Yeah, I got mine back in October of last year
Yeah.
and like I can't tell you how many hours of YouTube tutorials I've watched because I'm like, how does this work? Like, what's this button do? Can I do this thing? I don't know if I can. Maybe someone's got a video out there for it. So, like,
Yeah.
it's not an easy. None of these, like, sampler instruments are not very straightforward because they
Yeah.
can do so much. And they've got to
Totally.
kind of bury sub menus and stuff. Because, like, uh, I think your MPC has like a screen with like menus that you can go in and you can change and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It has like an
For
LED screen. Yeah.
Yeah, for the KO, like all these, and this is what I thought was crazy. Like, or let me turn it on so you can kind of see it. Like all
Yeah.
those lights, it's not a light. Like this is all like a piece of plastic that they've colored, and there's just one light bulb behind there. So
Oh.
like
Whoa.
this cannot change the format. Like this is the only thing that can change. Like this just the
Hmm.
middle part, but everything on the sides is a piece of plastic with like color on top of it, and it's just a white light bulb behind it that turns on when whatever you're pressing.
Yeah.
So like an LED screen, it gives you more control and like you can put other stuffs on there, but like this is like fixed and set.
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's a little bit harder sometimes when you don't know the controls and there's not a way for you to like click something and be like, well, what's that do? I can see the change. Like
Right.
I don't even know what that symbol. There's so many symbols on this. I'm like, what does that do? I've never seen that symbol light up before.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I just got the MPC sample, which is the new little one. And
Yeah.
I actually was like, I wonder, because I read like basically with the MPC, the 62, the big one that I have, it's like that one I also like read the manual a little bit, not the whole thing, but like I read parts that I like was wondering about. But with the NPC sample, I think the booklet was like maybe 67 pages. So I'm like, I'm going to read the whole manual because I was like, I wanted to kind of like what you're saying. I wanted to learn what all these submenus did. And there's a lot of like shift, like when you shift, like every single button has a second function, almost like the function key or whatever. I'm not a technical person, so don't quote me on the buttons I'm saying, but I think there's like a shift and then each button has like a secondary thing that it does. So I was like, let me just read the manual so that I actually know kind of how to use this. But yeah, I mean, I definitely am thankful I started on the 62 because I feel like even though there's a lot of menus, it's not like one of the new ones that has kind of you have no limitations, kind of like that the 62 has limitations, like if my 62 wasn't like a souped up version, it would have like 13 seconds of sampling time or something like that. But now that mine was upgraded, it has double that. But still, I mean, that's still a limitation, 20 something seconds, especially when you're putting in drum breaks, if you're putting in, samples from something, if you're playing an instrument into it, like that can already take up, definitely more than 20 something seconds or whatever. So, but anyway, yeah, it was good for me to learn on something that had a little more parameters and some more limitations because I feel like if I was just thrown into something that had endless anything, endless time, endless amounts of samples, I think I might be like overwhelmed.
Yeah, and like I think from my experience, it was a little bit tough. And I'm curious if it was for you to kind of be like, oh, I've played an instrument, and like I know the rules of playing a physical instrument, and like how that might work, like if I'm recording it to my computer.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like it's all right there. So like the thought process kind of has to change. It's not like I'm playing the guitar and then I know the rules for this. Okay, let me pick up the drums. Now I know the rules for this.
Yeah,
Like it's all in one machine. So like what
totally.
was the thought process or what were some things that like really helped you coming from like a traditional instrument to now using a sampler, were there things
Yeah,
that you had to like be like, okay, this is very different, or this is
right.
something that I can kind of bring over that will help?
Yeah. I think all of the above, but I think when I sit down at the MPC and I decide, oh, I'm listening to this vinyl and like I really love this section of it and this part of it and this part of it and I want to sample all that. I think when I start to sit down after I have all the samples in and edited and I start to make like my little beat of it, my little flip of it, what I like to think about is if this were a song and I was writing it, what would I want? I might be like, oh, I want like 8 bars of an intro or a 4 bar intro. And like the intro should be like these two samples back to back because it sounds cool. And then maybe the drums will come in after that. Like I kind of think of it as if it's an arrangement that I'm making. Like I'm just making a song, I'm making a full arrangement. Um, because I know there's a time and place to just make like a loop and just like have that loop go and then maybe like change the loop, which like I also do. But I think I also, coming from that musical background, I like it to feel like, well, there's an intro and then maybe this is how I end it. And maybe I have 2 sections. I do section A for, 16 bars and then maybe the B section for 8. And then maybe I go back to the A or maybe I don't. And then maybe I do an outro. Like, so I think in that way, being a musician and playing instruments, that helps me because it makes me think like an arranger, how do I want this sort of arc to be? Um, but yeah, and I think too, now that I'm getting more comfortable on the MPC and I've finally learned how to do song mode, which means, instead of just having sequence 1 and sequence 2, I've actually figured out how to program them into a song. That way, like I can just press play and it does it on its own and then I can focus on playing an instrument. So that's what I've been messing around with a little bit more these days, which is cool.
Nice. And how's that kind of been like? I know a new NPC came out less than a month ago, but I feel like
Yeah,
everyone on social media is like, "Oh, I want to play it," and like it's definitely a great machine. Like the amount
yeah,
of memory and the amount of things it can do. Like
totally.
now's the best time I think to get into like using a sampler with that machine and what it can do and how affordable it is. But like
Yeah,
you
totally.
you've learned on a previous model, so what's it been like saying, "Oh, I have this one that's more portable, it's
Yeah.
smaller." Like what's that been like trying to use a more updated
Yeah.
version of it?
I've only used it like maybe 3 times and I've only really made like one thing on it so far. I think just because I'm still trying to learn it. I think it's very intuitive. I think for someone who like has never used a sampler before, they also like load it with presets. So if you don't want to, you know, figure out how to plug in your your turntable into the sampler and do that, and maybe you don't have a record player and you just want to like learn how to sample. Obviously, I think the MPC sample is cool because, like I said, there's already preset loops in there. Either loops, there's breaks in there, there's different like one hits. There's even some like sound effects. It came preloaded with a lot of stuff. So I think in that sense that would be cool for someone who's just trying to get into it and learn. I think I have a long way to go on both machines for sure, but I think I'm feeling a lot more fluid with what I'm doing specifically with the MPC so far, at least the 62. And then I think just over time I'll get better with the with the sample. But I mean, I think it's yeah, I mean, it is a good price point. I know like, most of MPCs, kind of eliminate people who, can't spend a couple thousand on something. So I think that's great. And I think Akai was pretty smart for doing that. So
Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't bought my KO like just a couple months ago, I'd be like, all right, this is the time to get it. But I'm
mm-hmm.
like, I just got this. I
Yeah,
need to learn how to work this machine as much as I can and feel really confident
totally.
before I switch over to something else. But
Yeah, it makes sense.
and along with like buying new equipment, the thing that I feel like is almost always like an added expense that I am just now starting to account for is when you want to buy another vinyl to sample directly from the vinyl.
Yep.
Because like yeah, you can do it digitally, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you follow this guy on Instagram. This may not be his handle, but I just like saw this and
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's really cool. I want to try doing that. There's this page, I think it's called it's either called Quick Sample or Quick Beats,
Okay.
and this guy has like a 7-inch record, puts it on, and then just drops the needle, and within 30 seconds, like is like, all right, here's my loop. then drops it somewhere else on the 7 inch, and then is like, okay, here's my loop, and makes it
Cool.
all within probably a minute and a half. Like he already has like some sound effects like
Hmm.
preloaded, and he like just does the drums on top of it. And
That's amazing.
yeah, I was just like, man, that's so cool. And I think he's using an MPC sample for that. But I mean, you can do that with anything that can sample
Yeah.
vinyl. But now I'm like, the cost for sampling vinyl is like, oh, that's an expense I didn't
Mm.
think about before.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully we already had a pretty good sized vinyl collection, and also I mean, my parents, I think they have probably close to it. At least when I was younger, they had like 1,000 because me and my brother counted at one time. But I don't know how many they have now. But I know at some point they gave me doubles because like my mom and dad, they when they got married, they realized they had a lot of like the same records, and so I've been able to poach some of those doubles off of them. But I mean, yeah, it definitely is. Collecting vinyl is an expensive habit, but the way I look at it, it's like I'm buying physical media. Like, I don't have to stream it. I have it on a player. It sounds better. The quality of vinyl through my speaker sounds incredible. You're not losing anything like when you're listening on streaming. And it's just, it's a good habit to have because you're listening to the music. It's like, I feel like, and also like you can find local record stores that will have really good records in good condition, and they're under $10 each.
Yeah.
They could be $5, $3. Sometimes I get really lucky in the dollar bin. It just depends. And also everyone's taste is different. So sometimes I'll like, I went into my local record shop a couple weeks or last month when they had their like anniversary special, and I remember going through like some of their uh records that they just put out, and I'm like, no one wanted this one, no one wanted this one, and I'm like, oh yeah, everyone has different tastes. Like, what I think is like and have must have, maybe five other people looked over it because they didn't know or they just don't really care. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that too, like the affordability is not a biggest factor if you kind of know what you're looking for.
Totally.
And when I say know what you're looking for, is like if you're making hip hop or something along those lines where they're basically sampling older music and then saying, hey, we're going to add our own flair to it and it sounds newer.
Mm-hmm.
All that music is on vinyls that like no one knows about. Like
Right.
the more obscure the sample, the cooler it's probably going to sound because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, you took that and you made this.
Yeah.
So
Like
those,
with world music records too. You go
yeah,
into the world music section. I just picked up this record from Yugoslavia, and I was like, all right, a folk like a Yugoslavian folk record, and I'm like, great, I'm gonna take it. Like, I'm sure there's something cool in here that I could find, an instrument that I'm not used to hearing. Like you're saying, it's like the more obscure the better. So I find that world music is perfect for that.
yeah. And I feel like the other thing uh, it's it maybe is easier for some people to develop, but for me, I feel like it's still something I'm always constantly trying to be like, okay, think about this a little bit more. Is there's more patience required, I think, when you're sampling because you're like, okay, do I like this part? You have to like actively listen a
Mm-hmm.
lot more than you think you need to be
Yep.
like, this is the part I'm gonna cut. This is the part I like. Versus like songs you've listened to 100 times, you know the
Mm-hmm.
part you like. But if you're gonna try and listen to it just once or twice and be like, all right, we're gonna cut this, we're gonna cut
Yeah.
this. So like that ear and that patience is like another skill that if you're just playing a physical instrument, you may not necessarily like have that fully developed or developed on that level to just be like, yep, I listened to that once and I know I want that. So it takes a little bit more mental energy, I feel, than
Mm-hmm.
uh, what some people may give it credit for.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
Totally.
because like whenever I'm listening to something, there's a website I use called Sample It IO,
Mm-hmm.
and it just shuffles everything on YouTube.
Oh,
And you can set some parameters, but
right.
there's some stuff I found where I'm like, oh, this is really good. And I'm kind of like, I have no idea what I would sample for this,
Mm,
but I like the song. So I'm going to
right.
save it and I'll come back to it later and see what I can find.
Cool.
But,
I like that.
but that's a good tool. It's just then like if you're like, oh, I want to find this on vinyl to sample versus like getting it digitally and then sampling from there. That's the
Right.
hard part because so many things in there are so obscure. It's like no way you may be able to find
Yeah.
that exact thing again.
Right.
But uh, on the topic of vinyl, just
Hmm.
thought of it. This Saturday is Record Store Day. Is there anything
Yeah.
that you're going to be trying to pick up, or is your record store going to do like some sort of deal or anything like that?
I don't usually do a record store day because I think it's overwhelming.
It can be.
And I mean, I'm from New York, so record store day was very chaotic in New York, and now I live in Los Angeles, which is also like I think doing record store day in big cities, I know that that means there's more record shops, but it still just feels like a lot of people. I might swing by my local store. I don't think they do anything specific, but I like supporting them, and
Yeah.
maybe I'll stop by in honor, but I feel like I go shopping for vinyl like so much that, I don't need to do a special one day. I feel like it's gonna just happen naturally, like every once in a while, where, either I'm like, oh, I really need this record, or like, I'm bored, let's go dig in some crates. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like too, like you're not going to get something that's like really new. I feel like on Record Store Day, not many people are like, here's a specific new release that's happening on Record Store Day. It's like, maybe a special anniversary or like
Hmm.
certain demos or alternative versions,
Right.
but there's not like, wow, my favorite artist is dropping this on Record Store Day, because
Yeah.
Record Store Day is kind of built around some exclusivity where you're
Hmm.
like, there's only 500 of these records, and then everyone's rushing to get them. And then hopefully they also buy something else while they're at the shop.
Yeah.
But, like no artist is like, hey, I've got a brand new album out and you can only listen to, the 500 copies that are out there. Like, they want everyone to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're buying vinyl for like the new stuff, and even if you're buying vinyl for the old stuff, like you don't need Record Store Day. It's just
Yeah.
if there's something like one specific thing that's only going to happen this one time. And
Right. Or like
yeah.
a deal from a place that never does deals or something.
Yeah, which like I would definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But that just means there's even more people that are going to be there that aren't trying to be there for the exclusive Record Store Day
Right.
stuff. It's like, oh, there's a deal, I got to be there. So but yeah, there are some cool stuff I think that's coming out this Saturday. But again, like I'm not going to be heartbroken if I don't get something. I'll be like, I'll
Yeah.
still go, and if I can get it, great. If not, I've got a backup list of things that I want to get, regardless of
Yeah.
if it's an exclusive or not. It's like, yeah, it's on my list. If they have a sale, great. If they don't have a sale, then it's like, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I know, or at least the record store that I went to here in San Diego, um, they said they're apart from also putting out the exclusive stuff, they have a lot of rare stuff that they've kept to put out on
Cool.
Record Store Day in case you can't like get an exclusive thing. There's some more options for you.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's a cool
So
way to do it.
yeah, but um, yeah, now that it's time to get like some vinyl and start sampling a lot more. So where do you want to see your journey with the MPC kind of go? Because it's been almost 5 months, 4 months or so since you
I,
started.
yeah, I think I started like the end of December. So yeah, it's been almost 4 months, like three and a half ish, almost 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
where do you think it's gonna go? Like, first off, give yourself credit because you're pretty good. I think you're pretty good from like what I saw on social media, because like I mean I've been doing this for a little bit longer. And I'm like, man, I'm nowhere near as good as what you're doing. We're doing a little bit different stuff, but like there's still things like I've learned from watching your videos of like, oh, that's a good transition, or that's a way to
Yeah.
make this sample kind of work in a different way. So you are, I think you are pretty good. So where
Thank you.
where do you want it to go? Like you said, the internet kind of did its thing and it kind of just blew up.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot happening offline that is exciting. I'm making a lot of really great musical connections where I'm like playing my instruments more again because of the sort of, all the eyes that have been on me online. It's kind of been able to foster some connections that I can bring offline where it's like, hey, you want to come to the studio and jam and we can write some stuff or whatever. So I think for me, my goal or my intentions or my wants for this is just to keep making really nice connections outside of the online space and like make music, maybe be on people's albums, which like some of that's already kind of in the works, or like maybe co-write things with people. I would obviously love to co-produce. I'd love to, produce. So like more of that. But I really music is collaborative. That's just what music is, right? I mean, of course you can play music by yourself, but it's just like humans. We are meant for connection. We are meant for community. And I think music is a perfect example of that. So I think for me, my goals and my intentions are just to keep making music with people, keep collaborating, keep being creative and just having fun. Like the minute it's not fun for me, I'm not going to do it anymore, because it's like I said, I have a career that I love. In the other part of the entertainment industry, right? So it's like, I have thankfully a successful career that I love. And so for me, it's like, this is something else that's really fun and I'm enjoying myself. And like, it just has to stay that way. Like if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it anymore. So just for me, it's like having fun, making those connections outside of the online space, collaborating with people, writing. I mean, of course I have like some dream, collaborations that, would just be like totally life-changing, or just like, at least for me, just like, oh my God, you're my hero, or like, you're my biggest influence for producing, or whatever it is. Like, of course I'd love to like eventually, somehow work with them or work beside them or watch them work or whatever. But I think, slow and steady, it's kind of already started to happen. So I'm thankful for that.
Nice. Well, and if people want to find out like how they can see you on your MPC and doing everything you do, where can they find you online?
So on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, I have the same username. It's just MPC Chop. And that's the best place to find me. I am planning on making like a beat tape, mixtape situation pretty soon. I'm just starting to work on it now. So I'm hoping like, I don't know, in the next couple months, I would have something out. So I also have a SoundCloud and a Bandcamp. I'm pretty sure they're also both MPC Chop, or maybe like Alessandra MPC Chop. It's one of the two or both. So yeah, I put some of the stuff that I put out onto the Bandcamp and the SoundCloud, but obviously because they're samples and they're not my own stuff, I didn't want to like put them on streaming and, get sued or anything.
Yeah.
So basically I'm going to be making my own mixtape / beat tape. So then I'll probably end up putting those on streaming, every kind of streaming platform. It'll probably be under my name, Alessandra, but some part of the title of the album will have MPC Chop in there, just so that like it's recognizable. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to keep an eye out for that beat tape, and be checking your Instagram page out to see what things you've chopped up previously and what you're going to be chopping up in the future too.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah. Well, Alessandra, thanks for coming on. It was very fun talking to you about samples, vinyls, MPC. Like, it's not every day you get to sit down and talk to someone in the community with it. There's lots of stuff out there on the internet where people are, talking about it, but just going to have a conversation with someone about it is always fun to do. So thank you for taking the time and, telling us about yourself and your journey.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Chords and Curves, a YouTube-only podcast. If you like learning about musicians, their journey, or anything else related to music, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.